Squash are members of the family Cucurbitaceae, which includes pumpkin, squash, and gourds. There are two types of squash, the fast-maturing, highly perishable summer squash and the slow-maturing, longer-storing winter squash. Molding is usually the limiting factor in the storage of squash. Studies have shown that coating the squash with potassium sorbate greatly increases the storage life of summer squash while keeping it fresh. Squash's native range is in the Americas and was first domesticated in the regions of Mexico, Peru, and the eastern United States. The bottle gourd is among the oldest domesticated crops. There is a large amount of diversity among commercially cultivated varieties. Shape most often determines which parts are typically eaten. There are 8 shape or cultivar groups: pumpkin, scallop, acorn, crookneck, straightneck, cocozelle, vegetable marrow, and zucchini. The rounder varieties are eaten for the flesh and seeds, while the flatter varieties are eaten for their whole immature fruit. All parts of the squash may be eaten or cooked with, including rind, flesh, and seeds. For nutrition benefits, studies have shown squash are a great source of vitamin A and zeaxanthin, missing in diets widely across the world. In plant breeding, the most sought-after traits are storage quality for summer squash, uniformity, earliness to ripening, disease resistance, and more intense fruit color. We interviewed Dr. Carol Depp, a freelance squash breeder for the Open Source Seed Initiative in Oregon. She breeds for flavor, texture, organic adaptation, vigorous growth, storage life, and stew and soup additive capability. A specific focus of Dr. Depp is sweeter varieties of delicata squash. Her best variety is Candy Stick, a large, sweet, fine-grained delicata with which desserts can be made. For butternut squash varieties, Dr. Depp suggests that the best varieties are not sold in stores and need longer maturation periods. Squash plants are monoecious and self-compatible, but flowers are usually pistillate or staminate, meaning a cross and self-pollination are possible. Heterosis of hybrids is documented, as well as some inbreeding depression. For trial plots, Dr. Depp uses exclusively long-term organically managed farmland with full exposure to sunlight. She uses traditional breeding methods such as straight selection, crossing schemes, backcrossing, inbreeding, and hybridization. Dr. Depp currently has over 14 types of corn, squash, and bean varieties that have been submitted to the OSSI. She has also used many USDA seed banks in her breeding program, though not for squash breeding efforts. Many seed banks in India and China carry large amounts of squash germplasm where they are most widely consumed and grown. Some wild varieties of squash have been used to breed in characteristics. Depp noted that the bicolored gold gene transferred into squash using recurrent backcrossing from a gourd as a prime example. There also isn't much genome sequencing or important genes identified within the squash varieties, she explained. Some squash genomics, such as disease resistance with transgenics, has been proven. Still, not many transgenic plants have been developed besides the mosaic virus-resistant types. We'd like to close with a special thank you to Dr. Carol Depp for the insight and information.